Okay, class, so you're going to be super happy today because there's really not anything to do with notes today other than to just understand a concept. Okay, I guess the only thing that we really need to write down or understand is a couple more like terms. So today we're going to start talking about solving quadratics. Okay, and we already know that a quadratic is something with an exponent of 2 because we've been talking about factoring quadratics. Okay, but when we are solving a quadratic, we're now going to talk about how do we solve an equation that has an exponent of 2 in it. And the first way that we're going to talk about solving it is solving by finding the roots or the zeros. Those words both mean the same thing. And the roots or the zeros are where a graph crosses the x-axis. Okay, so when we're talking about finding the roots or the zeros, we're talking about finding where the graph crosses the x-axis. Now, there's some other math terms then that we might use with that as well, like the x-intercept. Okay, because an x-intercept is where a graph crosses the x-axis, or sometimes we'll just be asked to find the solution. Okay, because we are finding the solution, we're just doing it with the roots and the zeros. Outside of that, the only thing that you need to do is know how to use a website called Desmos. Okay, so there's a link on your homepage in Canvas to Desmos. So you'll want to open up this website. Okay, and when you first open it up, there'll be a big button on the front page that says Graphing Calculator, and you just want to click that to go here. I think actually if I go backwards, yep, you'll go to this page and you just want to click that Graphing Calculator right there in the middle, and you'll go here. Okay, so what will happen is over here, you'll sort of see on the side of my computer, I have some problems written down over here, right? See these? These are equations that we currently don't know how to solve because we don't know how to solve when there's something with an x squared involved. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use a graphing calculator to graph for us, and then we're just going to see where it crosses the x-axis. So what we'll do if we want to graph, okay, is we are going to type into our box, okay? So we'll go here in this box and we're going to type in the exact equation that we see over here. So I'm going to type in y equals x. To type in an exponent of 2, you're going to hit Shift and 6, which is your up caret key, and then it will allow you to type in an exponent. I'm going to press my right arrow to the right. So right here, my cursor is tiny. I'm still in the exponent. When I press my cursor to the right, I get out of that. So I'm going to put minus 4x minus 96. Okay, so all I did was just type that equation in. Okay, then once my equation's in, I'm just then going to take a look at this graph. And I might have to do a little bit of zooming. Okay, so I'm just zooming in or out. You can do it over here. You can do it if you're on a laptop by just, using your fingers and sort of pinching. Okay, and you can look and see where the graph crosses the x-axis. We're literally looking for the point. So we see a point right here, and we see a point right here. Okay, these points are our solutions. There are roots or zeros. Now, we don't name the ordered pair. We just name the x value. So if we were given this original problem over here, okay, this problem that said y equals x squared minus 4x minus 96, we looked at the graph, we saw where it crossed the x-axis, and we would say that its solutions are that x equals -8 and +12. And that's just the answer. Okay, so let's say we want to look at number 3. So again, I'll go into that Desmos calculator. Okay, and I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to type in my equation. So we'll say x squared plus 13x plus 30 equals y. Okay, so I'm going to look and see my point right here and my point right here. Now, this looks a little bit off, right? It doesn't look like it's on a line, but if I change my zoom on this, okay, so if I look and see how much I zoom in, right, that is really actually crossing right there, right? So my point is here and here. So that's at -10 and -3. So again, if I were to look at this, I would say that my number 3 here has answers of x equals -10 and -3. That's all there really is to it. Now, there are a couple of things that we just need to make sure we consider. So for example, if we look at number 5, 7x squared equals y. Okay, if we go to graph this one, get rid of that old equation. So I'm going to put in 7. Well, maybe if I can get to the right place here, if it will let me type. I type in 7x squared equals y. Okay, and then we take sort of a closer look over here, right? This graph right here is just touching at 0. It doesn't go above, it doesn't go below, it just touches right here at 0. So the only place that this graph crosses the x-axis is at 0. So for number 5, when we're looking at that one, this one would only have one solution. And that one solution would be x equals 0. And that's it. Okay, then there's one other situation that sometimes happens that we need to be aware of. So let's say we go to graph y equals x squared plus 2. Now, I don't see it here, right, because I zoomed in. So I'm going to, again, change my sort of zoom over here until I see it. And then when I look at this graph, remember my x-axis is my horizontal axis. This graph doesn't cross it at all, which means this one doesn't have a solution. Okay, so if something like this ever happens and we don't cross at all, the answer that we're going to say is that it has no real solution. And we can just call this NRS as well. So what you're going to do is when you do your problems in your ALEKS assignment tonight, go ahead and use the Desmos calculator at the same time to get those intercepts and then just type your answer in.